Welcome to the Inner Journeys Outer Adventures podcast. Today we have a special edition of the podcast. I have Dan Jerseth with me, and we're going to talk about our last Spartan Ultra race. It was in Killington, Vermont in September of 2023, and we're going to talk about our experience through it and things maybe we learned or things we just completely blacked out and how our experience was with that and the pain we went through. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
Ready to do this?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's give a little, context of a little bit of our training that we did, because me and you trained together quite often.
That was brutal. That was probably harder than the race.
Do you remember what month we started training together?
June, maybe?
You think it was June? That sounds about
Maybe
right.
like 2 months or 3 months beforehand.
Probably.
I did a lot of training by myself before.
Right. Yeah. So we came together and started doing like runs on Saturdays or Sundays.
Like the month or 2 months beforehand, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was probably like end of June, beginning of July. We started at Lowe's Creek, probably at like 10 miles.
Yep.
And then built from there. And then we realized, oh, there's, 15,000 feet of elevation change in this race. So we're like, we need to go get some elevation. So we decided the closest place to us to do that was Afton. And we probably started that in August.
Yeah, sometime in there.
Yeah.
I think it was a little before that, actually.
Maybe end of July.
Because it's like an hour and a half drive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For us?
And we probably went there, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
And then our longest training run was like 25.
I think you had 25. I
You
went an
did,
extra
yeah.
mile,
You
so I
did
could
an
hit
extra
him.
mile.
So I ran a marathon.
Ran a marathon beforehand because we were expecting 50K, so we're expecting about 31, 32 miles
Yep.
of running in the Spartan. So we did actually a lot of training, a lot of prep for this.
Most I've ever trained for a race before, for sure.
Yeah, same for me, because I've actually never done a 50K. This is my first 50K I've ever done.
Wow.
And you had a previous 50K, right? Just
Yeah, I
not
did
to this level.
150K, but nothing like this.
Yeah, because the Spartan race, if those of you that are listening and don't know, Spartan race has obstacles with it. So it's got a lot of grip strength, crawling on your knees, going up and over walls, a bunch of different things like that. So it's not just a regular ultra marathon. So it's an ultra marathon plus we had 60 obstacles that we did on it. So we had regular gym training. So we do workouts in groups and classes. And then on the weekends, we did a lot of longer runs together with that. So we had strength from working out, basic functional bodybuilding, and then working on our lung capacity with the runs that we did. So that was our training leading up to that. And then we flew out from Minneapolis to Boston Thursday before the race. So the race was on Saturday. We got to Boston on Thursday. We spent the night. We drove up to Killington, which is about a 2.5 hour drive from Boston, and then picked up our stuff on Friday. Packet pickup was Friday. We looked at the course a little bit, got a little intimidated by the size of the first hill we walked up to, and then did our normal stuff, getting prepared. We packed up stuff the night before, just so we were ready. Then we finished.
You get a drop bucket.
Yeah. We dropped off our drop bucket. I forgot about that.
We should explain what a drop bucket is to people.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like a drop bucket this race takes like 12 plus hours. Mm-hmm. Like that's pretty average time. It takes over 12 hours. So you basically have to have a drop bucket, which halfway through the race, you're allowed to take any clothes off and replace any clothes and have meal packed in there or any replacement of water and food, which you put in the drop bucket. And then at the halfway mark, you basically come back to the start line, which is where that stuff is before you start your second lap, and grab your drop bucket and exchange stuff you need.
Yeah. What did you have in your drop bucket?
Peanut butter sandwich, some soup, lentil soup.
Lentil soup.
I had a change of shoes in case I needed them, but I kept my same shoes on. Change of socks, change of shorts, change of shirt. I kept all that stuff on, mainly because I was in so much pain at that point that I didn't want to take clothes off and put more clothes on. Yeah. I just wanted to keep my same stuff on there because I didn't want to move any more than I had to.
Yeah.
So I just kept the same stuff on, but I had a couple sandwiches, a sleeve of Oreos, like in a little package. Tasted so good. And then
Did you have anything to replace what you were running with?
As far as what?
So like our e-gels and stuff.
Oh yeah, I had e-gels, like lots of e-gels. Probably, I think I had
How many did you go through?
20. I think I went through 24 e-gels.
24 e-gels.
That's a lot of sodium.
Yeah, there's like, is it 200 milligrams of sodium in each
I think
one?
so.
Yeah.
I sweat a lot when I run.
Yeah.
Exercise.
But for context, that day it was like 40 degrees, overcast for most of the day. We did get rained on a little bit,
Yep.
but it wasn't for very long. So it wasn't a hot day, so we weren't like sweating to the amount that we were in training.
Correct.
So it wasn't that bad that wise. In mine, I think I made a mistake there with the drop bucket because I didn't have enough food with me.
You didn't?
No, I didn't have a sandwich or anything like that. I had a Monster. I had a candy bar.
I packed
I think
myself
that's
a whole
about
lunch.
it. Yeah,
I packed myself a big lunch.
I think that was about it for me, and I made a big mistake with that because I was severely undernourished for that race, especially the second half of it. In the first part, I started cramping, so I grabbed my extra. Thankfully, I had extra salt packets in my drop bucket, so I had salt packets. I had an extra pair of shoes. I had an extra pair of socks. I think I had an extra shirt in there as well. Like you, I didn't change any of that stuff because I didn't want to. I don't know. I just didn't want to do anything else that I didn't have to do. Just like you, I'm like, I don't want to move more than I have to.
Literally.
I think I took 15 minutes in that exchange part for that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. At the very beginning, race start for Dan was 6 a.m. Mine was 6:30.
We should describe the race start. It's kind of a cool experience.
Well, before that, we woke up about 4 a.m.
4 o'clock.
4 a.m. We finished packing, making sure we had everything in our drop buckets, everything that we needed for race
such
start.
denial when I wake up. I'm just like, oh God, I'm about to do this.
How did you sleep that night?
Terrible, because the bed was squeaky.
You didn't actually sleep in the bed. I think you slept on the couch. Because I
That was the
remember
second night.
you
That
didn't
was the
want to
second
wake me up.
Oh yeah, I think I moved out to the couch.
Yeah.
But I laid there for probably an
you did-
hour.
yeah, you did start
sitting there like, this bed is squeaky. I don't want to move. I don't want to get comfortable here. So I ended up moving to a different bed.
Yeah.
Not a good way to start.
I don't think I've ever slept well before a race.
You sleep good that night?
No.
No?
No.
Me neither.
I had was
I
probably
slept
had
like shit.
maybe 5 hours of sleep. And my whoop says I was in the red for the start of that. So
Not ideal.
So if being in the red and the whoop means my heart rate's higher, my heart rate variability is lower, and everything's kind of like not optimal.
Not optimized.
But I don't know anybody that actually sleeps well before a race, and then, is like optimal everything because you're usually in a new
thinking through
spot.
things.
Yeah, you're thinking about new things. You're not sleeping in your same bed. Maybe you're sleeping at elevation that you don't normally do.
Yep.
So everything's changed, and it's hard to get good sleep the night
Yeah.
before a race.
Yep.
But yeah, so we made sure we had everything. We left probably like 5:15 to get there,
Yep.
something like that. We get there, we drop off our buckets, and then we head over to the start line.
Oh, drop off the buckets. There's little springs in the ground.
Yeah, you already got your feet wet.
Literally, there's the natural spring that's just sitting right in the middle of this drop bucket area. And there's actually like a little creek that's going through. And I walk over the creek and I walk to my where I'm going to drop my bucket off. And my foot goes all the way up to almost up to my knee in water. And I'm just like, it's 5:30 in the morning. It's cold outside. It's dark. I'm already nervous and tired from not sleeping and knowing what I'm about to do. And now I'm wet too. I was like, this is just great.
And I watched you do that. I'm like, oh, good. I don't step in
Yeah.
that.
Ugh. Like the last thing you want to do is be wet.
Yep. So we line up. You have to go through a little bit of obstacles. So there's like a little over-under kind of thing. Then
Yeah.
you get into the feed line of the start line. So they have like, 40, 50 people start at once?
Yeah.
About that. And then explain how the start goes.
Well, it's kind of exciting. You get up there, there's music blasting. It's like it's kind of weird because it's 6 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
on a Saturday morning, and the music is just beating hard. It's like, you're just getting pumped up, and all these people are standing around. Everybody has their headlights on, and then Joe DeSena was there for our start of a race. Did you see that?
I did. And he is the man
Founder.
who started Spartan in Vermont. That's his backyard.
Yeah, this is his backyard race. This is founder, CEO of Spartan Race. And he's sitting there, he's like, all right, Spartans, you're all here and stuff. And then he's going to take a picture with us and they ask everybody to turn their lights off. And I'm the only one who doesn't turn their light off.
Of course.
And
You're
then people are
that
like, they're like, hey. I'm like, what? Turn your light off. I was like, oh. And then Joe DeSena took a picture with us. I don't know where that picture is.
It's probably on the Spartan website.
It's probably on there somewhere. That was pretty cool to actually see the man who put behind all the Spartan races and everything though.
And he actually started the race with you guys.
Yeah, he began it.
Yeah, he ran with you guys at the beginning.
I guess apparently I ran past him at one point in the race because I was running next to a guy and we were talking about it. And he's like, yeah, I actually talked to him for a few minutes. I was like, oh my gosh. If you ran past him, that means I ran past him too.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beginning of the race, super intense. Like people just, like any race,
Jacked
if
up.
anybody's ever done a 5K or a 10K or a marathon, people just sprint out at the very beginning like a mat. It's pitch black right at that point in the morning too. And people are just sprinting like it's some sort of foot race. And it's like, man, we're going to be out here for 12 hours. We don't need to sprint right now. But of course, when everybody else is running that fast, you're naturally going to run that fast too. So I was going with it. It felt good.
And then you immediately have to slow down.
You start going uphill right away.
Going uphill and it's muddy.
It's muddy. Yeah, there was this like huge pipe that you're kind of like, I could crawl on top of this huge pipe. It was just muddy. You're just right within the first mile, you're just drenched, muddy, dirty, cold. And that's the beginning of the race.
Yeah. Our first mile, we go down and then we start going up. So we go down around a corner and we start going up, and it rained the night before and this place is soaked. So this whole course is wet and everything is a little bit loose. And at the very beginning, we don't have to go through that much mud because we're the first ones to go through it. But it's still muddy. It's still slick. You're walking up it. There's no way you're going to stay dry or not muddy in the beginning.
No way.
Immediately you're dirty. You're coming up this. We have a little hurdle for our first thing we go over. And then it's probably another like 1,000 feet, maybe a little longer than that. And then we have another over under. So you're going crawling underneath things. You're not really jumping, but like climbing over the next one because it's like hip height. So you go over like 3 or 4 of those over under them.
Yep.
And then we're moving on to a little inverted wall. So it's like angled the opposite way you would normally go over a wall. So you're climbing underneath it and then over the top of it. So all this stuff is like the very beginning. We're not really warm yet.
Cold.
Both of us are cold because it's early morning. We didn't really do any warm up before it. We didn't run around, didn't go over anything. So this is all like the first mile, 2-3 miles. We're just getting ourselves warm and getting ourselves into it.
Yeah, the first 2 miles you go through about 15 obstacles.
Yep.
And that's right from the beginning. You're just, I think another honorable mention is the dunk walls that we got to go through on mile 2 or going from mile 1 to mile 2.
Well, we have 5 obstacles right in a row. So this is probably like 1,000 feet of, obstacles, and you're not really walking, you're not running through this at all. So you're going to go under. We have an Atlas carry, so you're going to hold on to a big boulder. You're going to walk it like around a section, come back, drop it. So this thing probably weighs like, 40, 50 pounds, would you say? Something like that. So it's not like extremely heavy. It's just awkward holding it because you have to hold your arms around it. Walk around a little pole. You're probably walking like 100 feet maybe, less than that. You drop that. You go underneath barbed wire. Then
that was probably the worst part about it, dude.
Going through
rocks.
Because it wasn't quite muddy yet, but it was still a little muddy. But then you're crawling underneath this. You can't go very high because you get snagged on your backpack.
Yep.
Your elbows are getting scraped. You took your backpack
I had to
off?
when I was...
Well, you're a little bit taller than me too, yeah.
Crawling
so that makes sense. You're crawling with it on your side, inch up. So your knees are like touching the ground, and you're trying not to hit rocks with your knees. You're not trying not to hit rocks with your elbows.
And then there was like divots in the water, in the ground where there was water pooled in there. So we wanted to go around those, so you're not literally crawling through water.
The second time through, I just didn't care.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I just went through the water. I'm like, screw this. I'm already miserable. So barbed wire was next. Rolling mud, I think it was a little bit of like a down into a little bit of water, up, down a little bit of water, up. So you're not getting like completely wet yet. But
up
then
to your waist though.
Yeah.
Get up to your waist.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah. And then we had the dunk wall where you had to completely dive underwater, go like a foot underneath this inflatable dunk wall, underneath it, back up. And at 6, 7 in the morning, it's cold as shit.
Brutal.
The water is freezing. We do cold plunges, and still that would sucked.
Oh, and that's like your first 2 miles of a 32-mile thing.
You're just getting warm.
Yeah.
and then you have to get cold.
Ugh.
And I actually, for that first time around, I took my long sleeve off. I took everything off and put it off to the side because my thinking is I didn't want to be wet moving on to the next part.
Yeah.
So I took it off, I put it off to the side, went under, came back around, put it all on. So this probably took me an extra 10 minutes to do that. But I thought it was worth it.
That was our first dunk wall we've ever done, isn't it?
Yeah. Never in a Spartan race before have I done one.
Because other Spartan race we did.
And then right after the dunk wall, while you're wet, while your shoes are super wet, you have to go up this little incline where it's like a rope. You remember that?
Yep.
You have a rope and it's inclined enough to where you can stand and you're just walking and trying to pull yourself up and over.
Yep.
And which was actually kind of hard after getting wet. So you're slipping a little bit. And then we don't have much for obstacles for another half mile, I would say. So we had just a half mile of running. It wasn't really uphill, wasn't really downhill. We're just kind of going through some woods, some scenery. And then we have another couple obstacles of it was the Spartan throw, the spear throw and rope climb. Did you complete the rope climb both times?
Yeah.
I barely did it on my second time.
So my first time, I was so tired. I jumped up to it, and I literally jumped up on the rope, didn't get a good grip, and I had to jump back down. She said I failed, and I was like, "There's not a fail on this one. You can have as many attempts on the rope climb as you want."
But you were an elite, so wouldn't it? You only get one attempt.
No,
right?
because the rope climb is not a fail one. It's just you either get it, or you don't get it, but there's not like you only get one shot at this.
Oh, okay.
Come to find out.
And you did it? Did you do it over again, or did you
I got
run?
it.
Okay, that was the first time, right?
Yeah. But the rope climbs are way harder than I was expecting.
The ropes are small.
Yeah.
It's really hard to hold on to.
It is.
And we didn't have gloves or anything. It was just bare hands with it. And then we go like another 200 feet, and we are carrying a bucket. So we have a little bucket carry. This is probably like a 400-meter bucket carry, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And the bucket's probably like 30 pounds. It's not very heavy, but it's just...
I throw it on my shoulder.
Yeah. You have to hold on to it. So it's just small things that are taxing you, extra things that are always taxing you. And then we have monkey bars right after that. That one wasn't too hard, I didn't think. And then after that, now we finally start going a little bit uphill, I would say.
Yep.
So this is all within our first 2 miles. We have 15 obstacles that we go through in our first 2 miles. And they do that because there's a 5K the next day. So they have a bunch of obstacles right at the beginning. And so the people that are doing the 5K are doing some obstacles, and they're not just doing like nothing and just running. Mm-hmm. So that's why we got bombarded with it right at the beginning. And then we're going on mile 3, not really much is happening. From mile 3 to 4, we start to get into the first incline. The first incline makes you think it's what they call a death march, which was a really long, slow uphill climb. It was probably like maybe 3,000 feet of elevation change for the death march. Yeah. And then this first one is maybe like 1,500, half of it, I would say. What did you say?
Yeah.
These probably aren't exact distances, but and so that first incline took me about 25-ish minutes, I would say. And I thought that was like, this is it. This is death march. Come to find out, it's not, because we come back down around the side, we go down, and there is obstacles in there, but there's nothing like notable. A little bit of grip stuff that you're going through. So we're going back down the hill. We come around to the side. This is another mile over where we go up a little bit, and we go down, all the way back down. And in this Spartan race, every time you go uphill, you have to know you're going downhill.
Yep.
What were your thoughts? So we're not even to death march. What are you thinking about?
I wasn't feeling too bad at that point.
You were finally warmed up and you were starting
I was warmed up. I was fine. The death march is really where my brain... I was kind of in denial of what I was doing still at that point in the process. And so when we got to mile 6, going into the death march, I got like maybe 1/3 of the way up the death march, and every single muscle in my body or in my legs. It's like I had my quads, my hamstrings, my calves, in my IT band, and some random muscle that I don't know what I've never felt it before was cramping from inside of my knee all the way
So
up
you
to
did
my,
cramp. I thought you didn't cramp.
all my muscles were cramping. And I got
halfway.
to that
Is that what you said?
probably about 1/3 of the way up the death march. So this is literally
no.
mile 6 out of a 32 miles. All my muscles are cramping, and this death march is 1.5 miles straight uphill.
Yeah.
So there's no
And there's a little bit of twists and turns to where you think you're almost done.
There's no opportunity to actually walk or take level ground or like stretch because it's so steep.
Yep.
And at this point, so mile 6 into this thing, I was thinking there's no way I'm going to be able to finish the rest of this. Because if this is how I'm feeling right now, how am I going to do the rest of it? And that's when my brain started going, like I started thinking of how I could quit, right? Mile 6. Like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish this whole thing when my body is wanting to quit right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little bit tired going into mile 6 because I already thought we did death march.
Yeah.
So physically I'm a little bit fatigued. Mentally I'm a little bit fatigued. And going up death march, it's literally like 35 minutes for the first time, 30 to 35 minutes of just straight walking uphill. Like you're turned your body, you're at an angle because you're walking uphill the entire time.
Yep.
And there is no level off. There's some switch, a little bit of left and right to it, to where you think you're done, but then you have to keep going through it.
Brutal.
It makes you think you're at the top once, and then it goes up again. And during that time, that first one, in my head, I'm thinking, all right, this can't go on forever. This too will pass. This is only temporary. Just think about one step at a time, keep going. And mentally, I'm actually pretty good, like positive still at that point. I'm tired as hell because going uphill for 35 minutes, your heart rate jacks up.
Yep.
And you're just tired from going. But I told myself I wouldn't stop moving. As long as I don't stop moving, it'll be done faster. I saw a bunch of people stop moving, and I'm like, that's demoralizing. That's demoralizing if you stop.
I was trying to figure out how I could break my ankle or something so I could quit. Because I knew if I broke my ankle, at least I'd have a good excuse to quit.
Right.
You know, because if I quit, I would really regret that forever. But if I broke an ankle or broke like a toe or something, then I could drop out and not feel so bad about it.
Yeah. I was the same way the second time through, the second lap.
Really?
Because I think I hit a wall, a big, huge wall, because I didn't have enough calories in me for that. So after we get through 10th mark, we start to go down. At the top is, was that 23? Ape hanger, which actually is like it's like a monkey rings into like one into two ropes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So you're swinging a bunch of across the stuff. I saw one guy fall. I did attempt it and I did fail it. I didn't fall on my back, but I failed it, so I had to do a penalty loop on that. Second time around, I didn't even try it. I just went and did the penalty loop because I was so tired. So after that, we start going downhill. There's actually an aid station before you start going all the way downhill, because we're at the very top of the mountain after Death March. And they had bananas and they had peanut butter.
Like peanut butter.
Yeah,
A little cups of peanut. Oh, so good.
Yeah, which was a lifesaver for me at that point. I needed more calories. But the bananas were the worst. They were green.
They were all green.
They were all green, and they sucked. So we have that. We start going downhill, and this downhill is actually kind of scary. It's a little sketchy because it's rocky,
Yeah.
and then it gets really grassy to where you can't really get a grip. I was running with somebody that flew down. He went like 400 meters sliding on his ass and hurt his ankle on that.
Did he?
I watched him do it. He was right next to me, and he started sliding down. He was going so fast sliding. I was like, holy shit, that is the last thing I want to happen to me. Because this guy messes up his knee and his ankle, and then I see him hobble. I'm kind of running with him, forward and backward with him for that. And I was like, oh shit, dude, I don't want that to happen to me. So I was super careful on the rest of the downhills. Because all I'm thinking about is this guy just showed me my possible future of messing up my knee, messing up my ankle.
Yeah.
Because if I do that, I'm definitely not finishing the race. And so we're down, so that's mile 7, 8, 9, going downhill, essentially. Half of 7 was still going uphill, but then 8 and 9 were going downhill for a lot of this. Again, not too many obstacles. I think there's an A-frame in there where you just go up and over a cargo net. You jump on top of one, you climb up a little bit, and then you go over top and you go down. They're probably like 10-foot, 12-foot obstacles, something like that. And then we go through a little bit of woods, and I didn't like going through the woods on the downhill because I thought it was a little bit treacherous, a little bit steep and sketchy going down those. So we're at like mile 9 going into close to our ultra loop. What are you thinking about as we're going through that?
The ultra loop.
Yeah, a little bit before we get to the ultra loop, as we're going through the woods, going downhill.
I don't remember that.
You don't. You don't.
There's just so much that day. I mean, there's 12 hours.
Yeah.
Of running, so I just don't. I kind of blank some stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we get down almost to the end of mile 9. So this is all downhill, literally all downhill the entire time. So your quads are getting hammered as you're going through this. And then we take a turn. We take a right turn, and we have an ultra loop. So for those of us doing the 50K, which is called the ultra, we have 5 extra miles that we have to do.
Did we do that twice?
No, only once.
How come it says mileage on here?
The purple mileage. The purple mileage is ours.
Okay.
So as we turn to go on this ultra loop is like a straight incline. I think the 55-degree angle is what the max angle was for us to climb up. And it was this. The very first part of this ultra loop is straight up. And I remember going straight up, cramping in my quads so bad.
That was extremely steep.
Because we're crawling.
You're crawling.
I'm grabbing onto shit.
It's really grassy there.
Yep. I'm grabbing onto grass to help me pull myself up. And I'm trying not to stop, but there is so many people lined up. Like we are bumper to bumper traffic.
Literally.
You can't move fast on this because you're waiting for other people. So we had to take stops because people would, like a traffic jam. People would stop. We all stop for a second. And then we start going again. We stop. We start going again. I didn't want to stop because I kept cramping up at that point. I didn't have enough salt with me. I was drinking as much water as I could. I filled up my bag a couple times by this point. And so mile 10.
Where'd you fill up with water?
They had fill-up stations. So they had where they had the cups.
Oh, gotcha.
I would there's like a tank of water by the side. So I would take my backpack off, put a bunch of water back in there. So at mile 10, we're probably 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. We're about 4 hours into this race, 3-4 hours. And I swear, I think this 5 miles took me 2.5 hours.
It was brutal.
Yeah. It was the hardest part of the race, I would say. Well, do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I kept thinking of the last Spartan race we did and how treacherous the last in 2022.
Yeah, Montana.
Yeah, in Montana. And that one was like brutal too because you're at the top of the mountain and it started sleeting and snowing on me when I was up there.
Yeah, that's right. Because you did a 50K on that one too.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first, not even half mile, like a quarter mile is straight 55-degree angle up. We get to the top of that, and for some reason, I think we're done with the ultra loop. I'm like, oh, that was really, really hard. And I said
that was the first mile?
Yeah. Not even the first mile. It was like a quarter mile. I said to somebody I was running next to, I'm like, wow, that was really intense. And she's just laughing at me because she probably knows, like, this is 4.5 more miles. I'm like, dude, that was really hard.
To somebody?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that's over with. We're done with that, right? Fuck. Come to find out, I have another 2 hours of this.
Oh.
2 hours.
That's brutal.
We go, and this is a lot of woods area. Like, this isn't on the ski slopes at all.
Yep.
This is a lot of woods that we're running up and down through. So there is a little bit of obstacles in there. There's nothing really noteworthy. You like drag a sled for one of them. So it's nothing like difficult that I thought it was difficult at all at that point. But the inclines and the declines were really hard at that point because I think they packed in like 5,000 feet of elevation change up and down in that short 5 miles. So each mile is about 1,000 feet of elevation gain or decline.
Yeah.
And it was just so demoralizing. I remember getting through that and getting back onto the course, like the regular course and not the ultra loop, and thinking, holy shit, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired from this. I'm beat up. I was cramping up for a lot of that.
And we're still not even halfway.
And we're not even halfway done. Yeah, we're not even halfway done. So we've completed 14 miles by this point. And now we go through an overwall, I think. Yeah, we have an overwall, about 6 foot overwall. And then we start going through forest again, and we're going uphill again. And this one's kind of like a little bit of a switchback in the middle. After you come out of the woods, you think you're done going uphill, but you're not. Because then you still go up part of the, so we're probably at like mile 15 there, Dan, in purple. So this is backside, if you're seeing that. And I remember going up through that. I was still cramping a little bit, going through the woods. And then when you come out into the clearing, you think, oh, thank God that's over with. We're not going up anymore. That's what I was thinking. And then take a turn, start going up again. You with me here?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think about coming out of that forest? Did you black it out?
I blacked it out.
Come on. Dan doesn't remember half of this race because he was so miserable.
I really blacked it out. After like that mile 6, when I was just trying to think of a way to drop out, I had to go to a different place to get through the rest of it.
What? Explain that different place in your head.
Well, like the whole Spartan mentality, like warrior, just facing your fears and overcoming. I just went to that place in my head.
Okay.
And I was just like, I was thinking to myself, really it happened in the second. I don't really remember the rest of the first lap. Like the next thing I remember was being at the drop station.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, coming up and out of that, we start inclining again out of the woods. And then there's another turn to where you think you actually made to the top of the incline. And it's demoralizing as hell. Because I'm like, oh, thank God, we're finally done climbing. And then you turn again and you start going up again. And then finally, when you get to the top and we start coming down the backside to where it's the very end of the loop and we're coming down, my quads are already torn up and I'm feeling every step going down. My quads are hurting every step down. I'm not going very fast because, again, I'm thinking about the guy that fucking flew 400 meters downhill. I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me, so I'm just going to take small steps. And I think that was bad for me. Taking those small steps, I'm just putting more and more stress on my quads and my knees, and I'm feeling it more and more. And then we get to the bottom of the hill is a sandbag carry, a 400-meter sandbag carry.
Oh, right before the finish?
Yep. Right before the bucket, there's a 400-meter sandbag carry. You get to that, and this is where so many people really get, I think, lost. Like, they quit mentally at that point.
That's where a lot of people quit.
Yeah, a lot of people quit at the halfway point, right at the bucket exchange, or the sandbag carry. Because the sandbag carry, again, we're going up like maybe 500 feet. We're going up with a 30, 40-pound sandbag. No, it was like 50, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's 50 pounds.
Yeah, 50 pounds for men, 30 for women, I think.
Yep.
And you're trying to hold on to it. You're grasping it around your stomach, or you're throwing it on your shoulder, or you're throwing it on your back. And I was thinking to myself, just don't set it down.
Yep.
Because you're going to want to quit if you set it down. And I watched so many people go like maybe 20 feet, drop it.
Oh.
Wait for like 3-4 minutes, walk up again, drop it. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to be that person.
Yep.
Because that's going to take me extra 30 minutes to do this sandbag carry. You didn't drop it the first time around at all, right?
I dropped it the first time around.
You did? On the way up? Or
twice. I think twice I dropped, set it down to rest.
Did you get to the top, drop it?
Yeah.
Because there's an incline top, you go across,
it was
and
pretty
then it's
level.
down.
I think what I did is I got to the top, I dropped it. No, I got about halfway up, dropped it, got to the top, dropped it, and then I was on my way down. I don't think I dropped on the way down.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. Maybe at the top I dropped it once.
I did because I knew if I took a little break, I was going to be able to maintain my. Because if you just peak out your heart rate too much, you're just going to have so much lactic acid build up, and then I was going to be screwed the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. So I was trying not to do that to myself.
Yeah, I was going slow. I got to the top. I definitely dropped it once, and then it goes across, and then you're going back down, and then basically you're at the bucket. There's a couple obstacles left, but there's nothing difficult. Like, what do we got? Well, no, that is it, and then we go to the exchange.
Yep.
We go to our bucket, and at the bucket, like I said earlier, I took like 15 minutes there, took my time, drank a Monster, ate my candy bar, was chatting with a couple guys that was in the bucket area with me.
Did you chat with anybody who dropped out?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't? You weren't talking to anybody who was like, I'm done?
No, I didn't, no.
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How many people dropped out?
There were so many people who I talked to. I'm just remembering this, actually. On the first lap, we were getting close to the halfway point, and there were so many people talking to me like,
they were in their own brain rationalizing why they should drop out of the race.
Yeah.
And they kept talking to me about it. And I was just like, I just had to run away from them.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't hear that.
You don't
I
wanna
cannot
hear that.
hear you rationalizing why you should drop out right now. He's like, I'm just here for fun for the weekend, I don't want to be a dud for the rest of the weekend. Like, that's what he was telling me. I was like,
my God, yeah.
I was like, bro, if you drop out, right? I was just in my head. I wasn't going to tell him what to do, but I was like, in my head, I was like, if you drop out, dude, you're going to regret that.
Yeah.
I just had to run away from those people as fast as I possibly could.
Because this is probably the hardest race, Spartan race, ultra, in the U.S.
I think it's by far the hardest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's many stories on like social media of people dropping out a couple times. Like they've tried it like 3-4 times. They dropped out every single time. And then they finally do it.
Yep.
And they keep going back to it because they kept dropping out and they regretted dropping out.
Yep.
So us in our minds, we're definitely not quitters.
Yeah.
We definitely can take some pain and suffering and we won't quit. So even though my mindset got in a bad place in that second lap,
Same.
like starting out again after the bucket, I was so slow and I was already feeling like I wanted to quit. Like at the bucket, I had to get moving, otherwise I was gonna quit. If I spent another minute there, I was gonna quit with that. So I have my lamp on. I didn't actually need it at the start race because I was at 6:30, so the sun was rising at that point, so it wasn't super dark for me. So at the bucket, I put my headlamp on for the second time around, and I felt so slow. I felt so lethargic. I felt like I wanted to quit. Going up the wall, I'm by myself. There's no one around me. I'm by myself running this race, and there's thousands of people there. There are thousands of people there. I'm by myself, wanting to quit. I remember the first over log, like they have that little log strip going over that. I'm like, oh, this hurts. Everything hurts.
And that's the easy one.
Yeah,
that's
a
easy obstacle.
super easy obstacle. I'm like, oh my God, this hurts. I don't want to do this anymore. But I keep pushing off when I can quit or when I can decide to stop. And it's like at the next aid station.
Yeah.
At the next aid station, I'll stop. I'll quit because I'm already halfway up this mountain. I would have to walk back down anyways.
Yeah.
So I might as well just keep going forward. And my mind says oh my God, this hurts. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so tired. I was so bad with my mindset at that. And I felt so defeated on going into that second lap. And then the dunk wall the second time, I didn't even bother taking anything off. I'm going to be cold anyway. I'm already miserable. Let's just go through it. Let's just get this over with. And then it got windy as hell.
Yep.
And I was shivering and freezing my ass off.
Yep.
And that demoralized me even more. Then we get to the rope climb again, and my hand started to cramp as I was getting up.
Oh, me too.
I was maybe a foot away from the top where you have to ring a bell. And I swipe at it real quick, try to hit it. I did hit it, and I almost fell all the way down the rope. I got down a little bit, and then halfway down the rope, I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to drop down. And then I hooked up with 2 people that were running together because I knew I was not going to make this race by myself anymore.
Yeah.
I need to run with somebody else.
Yeah.
So luckily I had two guys that I was
Were they
running with.
talking stuff?
Yeah, they were pretty good spirits. They were a little bit tired and fatigued. Well, not a little bit. They were a lot fatigued, but they were in better spirits than where I was at mentally.
Yeah.
So I was just like, hey, can I attach myself to you guys? Can I run with you guys? I don't know if I'm going to make this race if I don't.
Really? You said that
I
to
said
him?
that to him. I'm like, hell yeah, come with us. And so that was right after the dunk wall.
That's a good thing to do.
So early on in that second lap, I had some people to run with, and it saved my butt. So maybe the second, so this is a third of the race for the second lap until the last third of the race. I was with those guys, and then I was running so slow and so tired that they went ahead of me. They naturally outpaced me.
The transition period for me was a huge turning point in the race for me too, because I was sitting there eating my peanut butter sandwich and Oreos, and there was people dropping out and stuff, and I was kind of just blanking out those people because I can't have that. I can't let that thought creep into my brain,
And the guy next to me, who I've been running with for a couple miles at that point, he's like, hey, as soon as you get out of this gate, you know you're going to finish. I was like, he's like, because most of the people, if they drop out right here. I was like, so all I need to do, the next thing I need to do is cross that line to get up the hill again, which, like you said, was so brutal. And going over those first couple walls were so hard, and going underneath knowing I had to go underneath the barbed wire fence and do the dunk walls again, it was just like, no, I got to get wet again right now. Right when I was actually feeling kind of good, I had some food in my belly. But that's when my brain went into this. It was like an animalistic warrior. I almost blanked it out. I said, either I am going to finish this race or I'm going to die trying to do it. I was like, there's no other option here. So I really never felt like actually quitting in the second lap. I just kept telling myself I'm a warrior and I'm here to go into war and I'm willing to die.
Yeah.
Like I literally was ready to die.
You set yourself up in a great mind space.
Yeah.
Like there's no quit.
There was no quitting.
There's no quitting. I
no
crossed this line, this imaginary line that I created, and there's no going back.
There's no going back.
There's no going back.
That felt good.
So yeah, we get past the dunk wall and all this stuff. There's nothing eventful. It's just all miserable going from that point for me. We start going up that one hill. It took me a little bit longer. I'd probably say first time it took me maybe 25 minutes to go up that first hill. And then it probably took me 35 minutes to go up the second time. We come down when we're getting ready for Death March. And the entire time in my mind, I'm thinking, I do not want to do this again. I know why people quit this race is because you have to do that a second time.
Yep.
And the second time, it probably took me 40-ish minutes, 42, 45 minutes. And thankfully, I'm with those guys that are pushing me. One guy's such a good climber. He gets way ahead of us every single time. So it's just me and his other buddy walking behind. He's about the same height as me.
Oh, they were buddies? They knew each other?
Yeah. They came from the same town to do this race. And this tall guy, great climber, he's always ahead of us going through this. And we're just slowly going up this
Trudging.
hill. Trudging. Yeah, trudging is a perfect word for that. Like, that's not climbing anymore. It's just trudging.
Yeah.
So going through it the second time, again, I'm thinking this will pass, but man, does this suck. Like, my mindset took a 180, and it was miserable, wanting to quit. So tired, so fatigued, but you get to the top of Death March, and then you start going downhill. And downhill feels a little easier than going uphill, even though it's harder on your quads.
Yep.
What were your thoughts the second time going through Death March? 1.5 mile incline.
Just warrior mentality. Either die or get it done. That's really what I thought.
Did you eat any food on the incline on that one? I remember having a couple.
Every
of
30
things.
minutes, I had my e-gels.
Yeah.
So
Did you have any solid food with you?
A little bit. I had like some trail mix or something with me.
I had a Cliff Bar, I think. And I can't remember if I ate it on. I think I ate it on the way up at some point. Because at that period, I had extra salt with me and I had extra food with me, and I was trying to play catch up with how much calories.
Oh,
Because on that day,
that's rough.
Looking at all my data, I burned 10,000 calories on that day.
How much you consume?
Not even half that.
Yeah.
Because even after the race, I had no appetite.
I
So
figured if I could do, that's one thing I could control. Going into the race is like, I know if I can control the things I can control, which are going to be how much I consume for food and water, that I think everything else was going to kind of fall into place and I was going to get through it. So that was one thing I did. I made sure every 30 minutes I took an e-gel packet. I didn't actually have a distance tracker I didn't have a watch.
You bought a regular hand watch.
I bought a $15 wristwatch
Walmart.
from
At
Walmart
yeah.
the day before, and that's all I went on. I don't think it was even waterproof.
No.
So I really had to make sure that I didn't.
Well, it was water. Because it's a regular
water resistant.
Yeah, it's just a regular hand watch where it ticks. So it's waterproof.
Yeah. So every time the hand was going straight up and straight down, I did an e-gel packet. And once in a while I'd miss it. I'd be like, oh dang it. It'd be like 5 minutes past. I'm like, oh dang, I need to get one of those.
Yeah. That's the nice part about having a Garmin is it would alert. I have it alert set up for that specifically. That and water. So I had every 8 minutes drink water, every 35 minutes
It beeped at you every 8 minutes?
Yeah.
See, that would drive me nuts.
It didn't.
It didn't?
No. Well, at some point, I'm just tuning the entire world out. I'm all in my head, and so negative thinking, all in my head. Like, I'm not appreciating anything I see around me. I'm not noticing anybody around me.
I didn't appreciate squat on that course either.
I tried that. The views were actually pretty cool.
So there was a couple times, I think it was the backside of Death March, where you're going down and you could just see a lot of the scenery.
It was
absolutely
cool, but I did
gorgeous.
not appreciate it.
And I did one time think like, I am actually grateful to be here.
Yeah.
This is absolutely beautiful. I'm grateful to see this view here.
Yeah.
But that was very short-lived for me. Like there's only a couple times where I felt like, oh man, I'm so grateful to see this and to be here.
Literally.
It was a battle, mental battle the entire time. And again, around like mile 9 of the Beast Race. So the Beast Race is a half marathon. So mile 9 is about way over halfway, but I am starting to physically feel how mentally I was feeling. So I'm making up shit, I think, in my mind, and it's going down into my body. So I'm like coughing, I'm like hacking up a lung, feeling sorry for myself. Like everything was hurting a little extra. And I'm in my head, I'm saying, all right, there's a cutoff at 6 p.m. to get to this wall.
Yep.
Well, there's a cutoff before that too. I'm like, all right, I'm with these two guys at this point. We made it. All right. Next cutoff is at this 6-foot wall.
Yep. I remember the wall.
Yep. And I was very close to not making it to that. And
How close were you? Like 15 minutes?
yeah, like 5-10 minutes. 5-10 minutes from being cut off. And the entire time before that, so I probably had like a mile and a half before that where I knew, I'm looking at my watch, I'm like, all right, I don't have that much time to finish this race. And in my mind, like, I would regret quitting this race, but I would not regret it if I got cut off. Yeah. And I think that spiraled down into my body even more because I started really coughing up and really feeling winded and like I was beaten down and barely able to move. And somehow I'm going so slow at this point. I'm like going like 25-minute mile pace, and it's downhill too for a lot of that. And then I come out into a clearing and I see the wall. I'm like, no, I literally did not want to make it.
Yeah.
I felt so.
You were pissed off that you made a
I was
cutoff.
pissed off. Like, you got to be kidding me. I have to finish this race now.
Yep.
And then I climb. I actually can jump, but I cramp as I jump, get up over the wall really slowly, and then I just start slowly walking up the woods, up the incline. Because there's only like 2.5 miles left after that.
Yep.
So it's incline for a mile down, and then we have a sandbag. We have a zigzag wall, so that's one where it's like you have to put your feet on knuckles. You're grabbing onto knuckles like little 2x4s.
that one.
It's really hard to traverse. I actually did it somehow. There's the sandbag carries after that, actually. Oh, I don't remember that. There's you have to hoist up like an 80-pound sandbag at the end too, right at the very end. And that felt freaking hard as hell. It's pitch black at this point.
I forgot it was dark by the time you finished. It was light when I finished.
Yeah.
I remember it was getting a little bit darker. And even the sky getting a little bit darker and a little bit grayer and a little just less, everything was just a little less vibrant.
Yeah.
Was me mentally, it was bringing me down. I was like, I need to finish before it gets dark out.
Yep.
Because if it's dark out when I finish or it's black out, I'm going to be really not good. Because I was in a pretty good mental space like 3 miles out.
Yeah.
After I hit that wall, that cutoff wall.
Yep.
I was feeling really good.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that.
You're fine. Because I had the complete opposite experience.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so close right now. I got a little adrenaline rush right before the finish line too.
Yeah.
Like I was about to win my war I was in. And I got adrenaline and I was feeling good. I got a little runner's high and I was just pumping up everybody around me. I was like, who let the dogs out? Let's go. Let's let the dogs eat. I was just yelling at people, and then I get a crowd of people that are running with me too. We're just going down this hill. And
you actually caught up with people in our group that was running the Beast.
Yeah, I ran into people who were running. I was in like the last quarter mile, which was kind of cool to say hi to them, but I didn't really get to enjoy seeing them because we were all dead.
Yeah, and you finished in about 12 hours, right?
11 hours and 50 minutes.
11 hours and 50 minutes, and I was 2 hours behind you. So I'm the last 2.5 miles, I'm actually running in pitch black.
Oh, because it was getting dark when I was finishing.
Yeah. So on the way up after the woods clearing, so this is like the last 2 miles after the woods clearing, it starts to get dark, so I turn on my headlamp.
That's brutal.
So the sun was just about setting, and then as I'm going down the backside, it's completely dark out.
Yep.
Completely dark out. And
I can't imagine.
The second sandbag carry, I dropped it maybe 5 times.
Yeah.
I was so tired, so demoralized. I didn't actually even want to do the sandbag carry, but I knew in my mind I would not feel good with myself if I skipped an obstacle.
Yeah.
Because you could easily at that point skip that obstacle.
Yeah.
Especially I wasn't in like the elite or age group or anything. I'm just in the open, so they're very lenient with what you do. I could easily have just skipped that, but I'm like, I would feel so shitty about myself, and I wouldn't feel good about this race if I skipped this at this point. So I do it. It takes me a long time, probably 20 minutes. And this is actually getting close to where they completely close the course off.
Yeah.
I probably made it with 20 to 30 minutes left before it closed off.
The 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it must have been 8:30ish when you finished.
Yeah, just about. Yep.
Because that makes sense. I finished at 5:50 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you must have finished right around.
Because I was a half hour later of a start.
Yep.
And then I was 2 hours behind in finish time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember going over the finish line. Actually, before that, there's the multi-rig. So where you're swinging across stuff.
I failed that one.
I failed. It fell straight on my back.
Oh,
it hurt. It hurt so bad. Then you have to go do
it's demoralizing.
Yeah, and then you have to go do a little loop. Because I was one away from finishing it.
Yep.
I slipped off it, fell on my back, and then I have to go do a little loop. And then I can jump over the fire and go through the finish line. And I was on the verge of tears at the end.
Yeah. No,
like,
you were crying. You were crying.
Was.
When I came up to you, you were just.
I was so defeated.
We were just hugging each other,
Yeah.
and you were crying. I was like.
And the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life was leave my phone in the car. So I couldn't call you to come get me.
Yep. What was your thought process when you crossed the finish line? Because people are like, oh, how'd you feel when you crossed the finish line? I was like, honestly, I just wanted a freaking hot dog. Like, that's all I could think about is I wanted a hot dog from Quick Trip.
Yeah.
You know? That's all I could think about.
On the verge of tears, like grateful, thankful that I'm done with this and I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was in so much pain, so much misery. And then I found the guys that I was running with. They probably finished only like 5 minutes ahead of me.
Yep.
But I could never see them on the last 3 miles.
Yep.
I could never see them, but they weren't that far ahead of me.
Yep.
I find them. I give them the big hug because I'm like, oh my God, we finally did it. We did it. It's over with. Then you have to stand in line to get your medal and wait. And all this waiting around sucked. And then I'm walking around like, shit, I don't have my phone.
Yeah.
How am I gonna get picked up?
Because we were already
I thought you guys were sticking around for me to finish. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go find him. I'm walking around the parking lot trying to figure out where you guys are. And then I finally walk up to the bucket. I see the message that you wrote on the bucket.
Yep.
And like, call me, find somebody's phone. Somebody else was in the bucket exchange area. And I'm like, can I use your phone to call my friends? I left my phone somewhere. And then I just have to wait like a half hour. And the entire time I'm just miserable. I wanted to be done. I
got lost. Because I was the one who came and got you.
Yeah.
I got lost on my drive back.
Yep.
I followed the GPS, and the GPS brought me to like the other side of the mountain.
Oh, no.
And that side was closed.
Yes, because they were doing construction there.
And I was going so fast. And I was like, oh, I got to get my buddy here.
Uh-huh.
Lost. And it takes me twice as long as what it should have.
The second I see you, though, I give you a hug because I'm so thankful to see you.
Literally.
Be picked up and be done with this.
And there was basically people who were like walking out of there by that point.
Yeah,
too.
I saw so many people leaving. I'm like, I wish I could leave right
Yep.
now. And then at the very end of the race, when we got back, I couldn't control my body temperature anymore.
Yeah.
I'd be shivering.
You were shivering. You did not you pale. You looked terrible.
I thought, man, I was so miserable, so in a deficit of calories because I probably ate maybe 4,000 calories that day.
Yep.
And so that's like a 6,000 calorie deficit.
Yep.
And if you've ever been there, it is miserable. You're shaking. You're uncontrollable. You get too hot. You get too cold. That whole night, I was too hot, too cold, too hot, too cold. And then the next day, trying to walk around when my quads are so sore, being barely able to move. You actually seemed fine.
That was good.
And I was so like pissed. I'm like, what the hell? This dude is just walking around like nothing happened. Like we didn't just go through a very traumatic event.
It was traumatic, but
yeah,
you were rough shape, man.
So me and you had different experiences.
Yeah. It was
both pretty miserable though at points, but you had a better mindset going in that second half than I did for sure.
Yeah.
And more food. That's where you did way
Lots
better
of
than me.
calories.
Yeah, you did way better than me. More food with that. So that was Killington 2023.
Yeah, dude. And we're headed back there.
We're going to do it again in 2024.
You got to talk me into it.
We're doing it. You already committed.
No, you talked me into it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it. I'm committed to it. We're getting a tattoo this time.
Yep. It's going to be great.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, thanks for listening to the Inner Journeys Outer Measures podcast. We'll see you next time.